Hey there, Kelly O'Connell, author and attorney. How you doing today? Hope you're well. Lots of more fireworks on Capitol Hill with these hearings. But I wanted to get into something that was a little bit different, off the beaten path that I have been noticing. And I think that you will probably have noticed it too a little bit, but you might have a different explanation than me. That's okay. Feel free to leave a statement of what you believe or what you disagree with. And if you could, I always forget to say this, if you could subscribe and put a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. All right. So here's the title, and what do you think about this type of thing? Does a sudden spike in world volcanic eruptions signal an end of days? Now, by the way, just to let you know, I've studied a lot of different beliefs, religions, and other non-religious material. And virtually everything that I've read has had an ending that is apocalyptic. For example, if you're a science person, you believe that the Earth is going to end up burning up when the sun explodes. So we're going to go down in fire that way. If you're Christian, you believe in the apocalypse, you believe in the end of days, you believe in the Antichrist, etc. But there are also similar beliefs in the Muslims, as they believe the Mahdi will come, and when the Mahdi comes, he's going to meet Christ in the holy city of Mecca. Then they're going to go to, he goes alone to Mecca, and then he goes to Medina, the city of refuge, and then he meets Christ in Jerusalem, and Christ says to him, or the Mahdi says to Christ, "Would you like to give the prayer?" And Christ says, "No, my Lord, you give the prayer." And then when they get done, they go out and they kick butt, and they find everybody in the world who is not Muslim, even Christians. This is very optimistic thinking. And they go around and kill everybody. So there is an end that pretty much wipes everything out. So you could be religious, a lot of people out there believe in God, but they don't have a particular religion. Most people, I think, suspect there's a God out there. And so you could believe this is part of God. You could also be just a scientifically minded person, a hard-nosed atheist, or a committed agnostic, unsure but not putting any faith in God. And you could see that an end is coming. You could believe it. So when I was reading, I saw a title that caught my eye and kind of pushed me into doing this article. Largest underwater eruption ever recorded gives birth to massive new volcano. And I believe that the biggest volcano on Earth would be the biggest volcano in the solar system that we know of. So this tends to capture your imagination, such a title, but it's not just one eruption. Because there's an apparent host of fiery activity across the globe that seems unusually symbolic. Now, I'm kind of going off this feeling in America now where nobody's really happy and everybody wants to find something to complain about and be a victim to fit in. And you got political correctness, and you got wokeism, and you've got critical race theory, and it just seems like a miserable time. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but people don't seem to be dating like they did before. Or if they are dating, people don't talk about love. There's hooking up. There's meeting people that you find attractive to have sex with. But it seems like the whole idea of romantic love has disappeared. And with romantic love came the idea of finding your life partner, finding that perfect person, getting together, committing yourself, getting married, then having, kids, and putting your progeny, your seed, your sprog out into the world to continue your line, your DNA. But consider all the volcanoes out there that are fighting against this too. 3 in Alaska, including Hawaii's main island as another one, which just started popping off again. The Caribbean eruptions and massive conflagration, a massive fire giving vent in the Canary Islands. So, I must ask you, does this sudden fiery display, this global furnace, correlate to a biblical prophecy, or does it just portend a secular catastrophe, or is it just business as usual? What do you think? Now, currently in the Canary Islands, and this is something I look at obsessively, I open up and I look up La Palma Live, and you'll get a video of the Canary Islands on fire, and it just fascinates me. And the way that volcano kind of popped up out of an unexpected place, and then it was going off, and then the magma was going down the hill, and then it was hitting houses, and then they even have if you look it up, they have a video of the magma going into swimming pools and storage pools for agriculture, and just the spectacular steam and explosions and everything, and the magma going over a house. And there's also an interesting one that the magma comes in, the lava comes in and hits a church, and it just kind of slowly just moves a little bit, and all of a sudden it's down. And then there was a worry about all of the lava going into the ocean and creating an acid rain, but I think they've decided that's not going to happen, because now the lava is going into the ocean, it's building new land, and I don't think they're seeing acid rain. So the Canary Islands, by the way, a Spanish principality on the upper west side of Africa. And so the as I mentioned, the island is called La Palma. Out belches constant streams and fountains of molten rock. If you see it at night, you have to see it. It's amazing. There are fountains that go straight up under immense pressure, hundreds and hundreds of feet high. And at the same time, there is molten rock just coming down, and like I say, going all the way to the ocean. It finally pushed to the sea, where the water traded form into an endless stream of explosions and steam. Overall, the cacophony, the sound is deafening, as those burned out of homes departed, while townsfolk scurry about with haunted eyes, sleepless eyes darting around the deserted streets. And it's not the whole island, by the way. It's just nearby. In other parts of the city, it's business as usual. So how bad could it be, you might ask? On the other hand, you're stuck on an island. What are you going to do? So Hawaii's Kilauea volcano just started erupting yesterday, and you remember there was about a half of a year that it was going off, and it was just coming out and swallowing up land, and people were going out and checking it out. They were fascinated by it. And it was just a very explosive and very, very big. Well, it's come back, and now it's got 6. I think there was, the video I saw showed 6 vents, and there's towering fountains of magma and lava. And it did erupt December 20th, 2020 for a half of a year. But the greatest activity, and this is what got me to write this article, a huge seismic event started May 2018. Felt across the entire globe. It's now given birth to a new underwater volcano off the eastern coast of the island of Mayotte, Mayotte, a French island. A gigantic new feature rises 820 meters or 2,690 feet, about half a mile from the seafloor, a prominence that hadn't been there prior to an earthquake that rocked the island May 2018. It's the largest active submarine eruption ever documented, according to researchers. As of May 2019, the extruded volume, the amount of material that came out of the new volcanic edifice, the underground volcano, is between 30 and 1,000 times larger than estimated for other deep sea eruptions. It's at least 30 times bigger, but could be 1,000 times bigger, making it the most significant undersea volcanic eruption ever recorded. And this is just happening. Just in the last year or two, the volumes and flux of emitted lava during the Mayotte magmatic event are comparable to those observed during eruptions at Earth's largest hotspots. Now, Alaska currently, if you didn't know this, has 3 volcanoes erupting in the Aleutian Ring of Fire. Iceland is currently experiencing extreme activity as the fiery formation of Fagradalsfjall, Iceland's newest volcano, marks the longest eruption in 50 years. Now, do you remember in April 2021, La Soufriere volcano exploded in the Caribbean island of St. Vincent and Grenadines, whereas the Prime Minister, Ralph Gonsalves, said it's like a desert afterwards. It's desolate, it's apocalyptic, the whole place is covered in gray ash. Now, around the globe, there are over 50 currently erupting volcanoes, including Italy's Etna and Stromboli, which you've probably heard of. 7, get this, 7 volcanoes in Indonesia, 6 in Russia, 4 in Papua New Guinea, not a big place, 3 in Guatemala, and others in Popocatépetl, or whatever it's called, in Mexico, or outside of Mexico City, and 2 in Japan. Now, add to this a number of large earthquakes in 2021, 3 measuring between 8 and 9 on the Richter scale, including the Alaska Chignik quake measuring 8.2, the biggest one last year. Now, what about these eruptions and earthquakes? Well, you can certainly make an argument for a scientific explanation, which is certainly valid and needs to be done. One article even warns, huge trouble, why researcher fears volcanic chain reaction could mark the end of the world. Now, is this what is happening now? Or is it also a spiritual watershed? Now, the writer John Ross Schroeder observes earthquakes can cause eruptions. Now, in an article I found by Sam Lemonick, he wrote, "The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, earthquakes or volcanoes." Now, they don't know what happened. Some of you will not believe in Sodom and Gomorrah. You'll think it's a joke. But a lot of these biblical stories, they go and they find there's evidence to back them up. So, as you recall, in Sodom and Gomorrah, it was a grossly immoral city, and Lot had moved there. Lot and Abraham. Abraham was the uncle, I think, of Lot, and he and Abraham moved out together and then separated, and Lot moved into this area because I think it had a lot of grass for his cattle and goats and stuff. Not pigs, though, of course. Jews don't eat pigs, but although this is before all of those laws, undoubtedly, being in early days. Sam Lemonick writes, "For many, the fire raining from the sky and dense smoke rising from the land like smoke from a furnace that Abraham saw in the aftermath of the destruction suggests a volcano was the culprit. But there's little evidence of volcanic activity near the Dead Sea. Therefore, some researchers think a more plausible location of Sodom and Gomorrah is in southern Syria, where an eruption did occur at a time when the cities are thought to have existed around the early or middle Bronze Age. In Syria, southwest of Damascus, large basaltic flows, or, outpourings of lava in basalt form, date to within a millennium of the presumed age of the biblical destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. The flows originated from volcanoes along the Dead Sea transform fault system. So there is the volcanoes that I think are connected underground. Buried under one flow are 2 settlements with dwellings and numerous animal bones. Large grave sites near the lava are also consistent with a catastrophe. These findings and the paucity, the lack of archaeological evidence tying humans to the Dead Sea area at this time make a Syrian location for Sodom and Gomorrah more likely. Scholars, however, now think the story is an amalgamation of real places, an occurrence rather than a single historical event. Okay. All right. So, now, other biblical statements that make you think of volcanoes. In Micah, Old Testament, the writer says, "And the mountains will melt under him," and this is God, talking about God, "and the valleys will split open like wax before the fire, like waters poured out down a steep place." So that sounds like a volcanic eruption where the magma is pouring down like water. Now, Isaiah 29:6 states, "You will be punished by the Lord of hosts with thunder and earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire." Okay, doesn't exactly say volcanoes, but earthquakes and volcanoes go together. Psalm 144:5 states, "Bow your heavens, O Lord, and come down. Touch the mountains so they smoke." And now, if God is touching the mountains, is he literally touching the mountains and is the flame coming up from his fingers? No. It would be something more along the lines of a volcano. In Psalm 18:7 and 8, those are metaphors, by the way. In Psalm 18:7 and 8, called by some the volcano psalm, the writer states, "The earth trembled and quaked, and the foundations of the mountains shook. They trembled because he was angry. Smoke rose from his nostrils, consuming fire from his mouth, burning coals blazed out of it." So if you see that as a metaphor, then metaphorically, quite easily that could be a volcano. And significantly, Revelation 8:8 states, the second angel, very last book of the Bible, it deals with a lot of destruction and catastrophe and prophecy. Revelation 8:8, "The second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood." All right. Now, what about what Jesus says? According to his own words, no one knows when the end will come. In Thessalonians 5:2-3, there's a statement, "For you know very well that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. While people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape." And that's from Paul, actually. So the next statement, though, is from Christ. Christ also says that one of the signs of the end times will be famines and earthquakes in various places, and he's got a long list of this. And so, and I forgot to put the connection to that, but I think that's in John. But anyway, overall, no one knows when the end will come, but certainly, according to the Holy Book, the Bible, the earth will pass in a fiery conclusion, which, much like the original Genesis flood, could be triggered by the fountains of the deep, like a supervolcano, releasing torrents of lethal magma gas and earth-shattering quakes. Now, don't forget, in the flood, it was stated that God opened up the fountains of the deep, which I think was, and I'll get into something interesting, hadn't planned to mention it, but I believe that's volcanoes, and they're pouring out water. So the flooding mostly came from the earth, inside the earth. How is that possible? Well, they've got something inside of the earth called, I think it's called wood ringite, and it is, it got water in it. There's two things. There's majorite that I think has oxygen in it, and it comes to the surface and it separates out, and so that's where they think the original atmosphere of the earth came from. And then wood ringite, and let me look it up, because I was thinking it was either ringwoodite or wood ringwoodite. Okay, that is, I'll just read the first thing I get to here. Early Earth was covered in a global ocean. And and had no mountains. Okay, and we know that there was water before there was land. So, and don't forget, it said the Spirit of the Lord was hovering over the ocean. So, in some of the oldest rocks ever found, they've found proof of this. But anyway, there is up to 30 times. Let me get to the point here. There's up to 30 times as much water inside of the Earth than on top of the Earth. And if you know how much water there is on top of the Earth, that's an astounding idea. So, just think about this: if the oceans had opened up, if volcano, because we know, like I mentioned earlier, there's undersea volcanoes. If they had opened up and began belching up this from very deep in the earth, this ringwoodite, it would have released so much water. Okay, so John writes, I looked when Christ opened the sixth seal. This is the book of Revelations. And I looked when Christ opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. And so that certainly seems to indicate earthquakes upon earthquakes. And Peter writes, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. So, I mean, that certainly sounds like a massive super volcano. Anyway, that's that. Give me your opinion, because I'd love to hear it. And let me get you just a little bit of weird news here. All right. Now, a friend of mine, Olivia, asked me not to put any more evil stories in the weird news, but this one's too good to pass up. A Texas man arrested after allegedly plotting to murder and cannibalize an underage girl. 21-year-old Alexander Barter placed a post on the dark web to find someone who would let him perform unspeakable crimes against them. The person who answered was an undercover agent. And Barter said he wanted to rape, kill, and eat the man's daughter. And the dark web is the part of the web that is really off the beaten track. And you can find out more about it by Googling it. But so he was arrested by the undercover agent with the Texas Department of Public Safety, is the person who interacted with him. The police came and arrested him in Shelby County, Texas. They charged him with conspiracy to commit capital murder, criminal attempt at a sexual performance of a child, and he wanted to commit necrophilia and cannibalism on something. And anyway, he was prosecuted, and according to, he's prosecuted September 18th and found guilty. He went to trial and was found guilty in September 2020, so about a year ago. And he received, you'll be glad to realize, a 40-year federal sentence, which means that he will do all 40 years probably, because it's a crime of violence or attempted violence. And he's known now as the dark web cannibal. And so he's 23 now, he will be in his 60s if he lives that long, because pedophiles are not looked at very, very highly in prison. And he said in his advertisement, I'd like to try necrophilia and cannibalism and see how it feels to take a life. If you'd be willing to let me kill you, are in the United States, preferably in the South, and can travel by car, contact me. And the guy who contacted him pretended to have a 13-year-old girl. So, anyway, he should have pretended to be crazy, or maybe he is crazy and just deserves to be in there. Missing drunk man accidentally joins massive search party looking for him, and this is in Turkey. Beyhan Mutlu was at a party, or he was out having drinks with friends. He got so drunk he wandered into the woods in Kayaka, Turkey. His family and friends became concerned. They got a search party together. And then this guy, who they're looking for, comes up to the search party and starts to help out. And people are screaming his name, looking for him. And finally he says, "I'm right here." So anyway, I'm sure people were mad. The police took him home. I don't think he was charged with anything. And anger as man offers free rent for younger women to be roommates with benefits. And isn't that the dream of a certain number of women out there? And this is in trying to see where this was at. I think it's in the UK. And he said that the woman can move into his upscale home and come and go as she please, and will be given access to a newish car to drive, and but they can't have any STDs. And the original advertisement reads, "If you're a younger single female, 1835, and are looking for a great place to live as part of a roommate with benefits or a live-in girlfriend type of arrangement, then this post might be what you're looking for. Single, independent, Caucasian, male, white privilege." That screams white privilege. "Looking for a drama-free female to come and share my upscale home with me. No criminal record. I have no criminal record. Non-smoker, not drinker." Anyway, they got mad at him, but he's just saying what other people are trying to do undercover. And let's see if I can fit in one more. Oh, okay, so there was a house for sale, $400,000, built by an artist. The house wasn't built, but it was decorated by an artist, and looks like something out of Dr. Seuss, including risque penis sink. So if that's the kind of thing that you're into. Anyway, Kelly O'Connell, thanks for tuning in. I really enjoyed hanging out with you. Put in some thoughts into this story and tell me what you think, if there is such a thing as the end of days, if there is such a thing as the apocalypse, if you're materialistic, if you're an atheist, if you're Christian or Jewish or Muslim. Let me know. Subscribe if you can, if you feel like it. Give me a thumbs up. Have a wonderful day. Ciao, Kelly.